Please welcome today's guests. Well, violinist Min-Jeong Koh and cellist Adrian Fung both spend their life playing string quartets. They're also married. Min and Adrian have a unique arrangement playing string quartets. They play in different string quartets. Now, we're going to talk about that. But this week, both quartets are at the Festival of the Sound, so we've reunited them so they can get to know one another for at least 30 minutes right now, because they both have very busy schedules. Let's start with the interesting side of things. When did you marry?
Does that mean you don't remember, or
No.
you want me to talk?
I remember. We got married July 3rd of last year. So we just celebrated our anniversary this past month in Indiana University, where both of our quartets were teaching and performing at Indiana University.
Is it the first violinist's job to do the proposing, or does it come from the cello?
I proposed.
Now, there are many commission pieces these days in one movement. Most people take their honeymoon in one movement, but I gather you're doing it in two movements.
That's true.
And the first was Allegro. It was a very short movement.
That's right. Last year we took about 3 days after our wedding, and we went to San Diego where I had proposed, and we spent 3 days there, and then we had to rush off to our separate concert agendas. And this summer we're actually going to go to Hawaii for about a week, and at the end of everything to honeymoon version 2. So.
And I heard that if you tell people that you just got married or you got married, that you get all sorts of discounts. So I thought, I don't want to lie, but it wouldn't be a lie if we say we got married in July, and then leave out the fact that it was last year. So we'll just say, we just got married in July. Do you have any discounts?
Yes.
Now, you didn't meet in different quartets. Where did you two meet?
We met when Min was 14 and I was 15, and we were in the Toronto Symphony Youth Orchestra together. And when I first saw her, I remember this because I kept a journal back then, and I wrote, "I just met the most beautiful girl in the world," and I still have it. And she and I, we wrote letters and stuff. We liked each other, but within that age of things, it's not cool to let the other person know that you like them. So we basically didn't really know that we liked each other, but we did. And when we were 17, 18, we went on a couple of dates. But we met again in Osaka, Japan in 2008. And we had grown up, and then we decided to try a long-distance relationship, and now we're in a long-distance marriage.
Part-time marriage.
How long have you been with your respective quartets? First of all, Min.
This will be my 4th year.
Min's with the Cecilia Quartet, of course, and Adrian, you're with the Afiara. How long have you been there?
Since 2006. So about 5 years. My 5th year, yes.
4 movements.
Yes.
5 movements. And you're a founding member of the quartet?
Yes.
Okay. And for both of you now, where is home base? Do you have a home base?
Yeah. Well, the Cecilias are in Toronto, and the Afiaras are in New York City. So I say I live in Toronto too. That's my home. I try to go back to Toronto as much as possible, and we visit each other often.
Apart from playing violin and cello in the quartet, do you each have a particular role within the quartet? Is one of you sort of manager of touring or in charge of the music or anything like that?
What do you guys do?
Oh man, well, there's so much to do. We rehearse minimum 4 hours a day together, and then people usually do like an hour or two by themselves. And then there's, the emails, and then the phone calls, and then the contracts, and website, and blog, and photos. There's endless amount of things. Luckily, everybody in the quartet is very committed to doing the business work. The shared amount, which is very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still so much work. People say, oh, you only work 4 hours a day. I'm like, oh, no, it's not true. We actually work 9 to 9 because you go home and you check your email and you're like, oh, no, I have to get back to the repertoire. And yeah, so I think we all we wear many different hats. We're performers, we're students, we're musicians, but we're also our own managers and our own teachers.
And you share that work, or
We
do you
do,
divide
we
it
do.
into separate categories?
We try to divide it, but then whenever someone has too much, then we all help
Yeah.
out. But there's a lot of stuff to do.
Does it work like that in the Afiara?
Sort of. We shared more by personalities and proclivities and what we like to do, and we decided early on that we wouldn't be one of those things where all 4 of us would do the same thing, alternating by year or by season or by concert. There's some people that are better at other things, and so we've gone about it in that way.
Actually, that's very true. So I don't know if you've noticed, but we always designate Sarah to talk because it seems like, it's not that a big deal, but it's actually very hard for a lot of musicians to speak and then play. But
Yes.
she's very good at it, so that's like her job, and the 3 of us just, do other things. Like, what do I do? Like update the website or something.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Now, Adrian, you were recently doing, just as a temporary thing, but some management, some administrative work.
Right.
Is that where you excel?
Well, no, I like doing it, and I was at the Banff Center. Barry Schiffman, the director, was in Russia judging a competition, so he asked me to run things while he was gone. So I basically was the artistic coordinator and coordinated all the artistic matters while the summer music, chamber music program was happening. And people were asking me, well, isn't it difficult? And actually, it was actually not that difficult because we're lucky to be very busy with our quartet and the things that we have to do and navigate and negotiate. A lot of things were very easy that way. So, and also the faculty there, who I was also their liaison for all sorts of things, I already knew most of them. So it was actually a lot of fun.
And it actually really suited him perfectly because of his personality, and that would be like another thing in the quartet where we would sometimes, try not to designate everybody to do something like that because some people are more extroverted and then
Yes.
more introverted, and and look, he did a great job, and a lot of people came up to me. They said, "Oh, he did such a great job, and he's so cute." Like, yes, thank you. What do you mean?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now. We've reunited, but you
This
have to
isn't
talk
where we
it.
thought it was going to go, right, Keith?
Now, we were speaking about Banff, right? And we
Yes,
have
right.
to speak about Banff, because
Yes,
you were
please.
both quartets in the competition almost this time last year, sort of 11 months ago. Did you ever really feel you were, you're not boxers, you're not going to knock each other out, but you were competing with one another. That must have been a very curious feeling.
Well, that's very interesting. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that I'm like really flattered that there's so many people here today to hear us talk about our lives, and I wish I could have something really juicy like, yes, we were about to beat each other up because we were so jealous, but it wasn't like that at all. It was pretty boring. In fact, we didn't fight at all, and we were just happy to be there. And I know this sounds really borderline lame, but people said, "Oh, like, aren't you stressed about going to Banff with somebody that's competing against you?" And I said, "No, actually, because I get to see him, and we don't see each other a lot." So I said, "Yay, I get to see my husband."
Well, we had just gotten married,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
July. So then it was a different situation where we were sleeping in the same bed, and I realized at the competition that I roll a lot, that I snore, and it's interesting because we were actually competing on separate days, on different days. So if she was on Monday morning, and I'd be on Tuesday morning, and then she'd be playing Wednesday morning again, and I'd be on Tuesday night. I would be like, usually a sleepless night, I deal with it myself, but realizing that my tossing and turning would be keeping her up, there was that amount of pressure,
Yes.
but there wasn't pressure to compete against each other. But I just did not want to do anything to hinder her, her progress in the competition by not being able to lie still or something.
But also it was amazing because, I mean, the Afiaras play about 70 concerts a year, and I don't get to see all 70 because we don't live together. So actually at the Banff competition, we saw each other play in every round, which
Yes.
was amazing. And actually some people asked us if we were crazy because, you know, it would make some people nervous, but I thought it was actually amazing I get this chance.
Yes, I've seen quartets at that competition, and they don't go in to hear the other quartets.
No.
They don't go in to hear the opposition. They keep to
That's right.
themselves.
Right.
Yeah, wow. Now, outside the competition, then, is the glass sort of half full or half empty? Are there advantages to being in separate quartets?
I guess we miss each other more. We're still on our honeymoon phase because we've only been together for like 10 days. If we count the hours that we're together.
No. Well, the difficulty is that quartets go a long way in terms of if you play in Toronto, or if, let's say the Cecilias are based in Toronto, versus like having a brain surgeon in Toronto, you can have maybe, I don't know, I'm speaking outside of my field, so but there might be 20 brain surgeons in Toronto, whereas there's only maybe one quartet right now in Toronto. So it's difficult to be in the same place. And then when it's touring, for instance, in February, the Cecilias we were touring in the BC area, and then we left around the 22nd, and the Cecilias showed up around the 24th. Oh. So we didn't see each other for that month. But it makes sense that presenters wouldn't want to have us in the same city at the same time, and that's why we're so thankful to this festival for having us to play the octet, because you have to have us in the same room at the same time.
Yeah,
So
this is the only festival actually, because I mean Indiana we overlapped by a couple days, but Perry Sound Festival, this is the only one where we were actually
Well,
invited.
I hope we make it an annual event here.
To save our marriage.
You know, I can think of one advantage to being in separate quartets. That is breakfast time. We heard at in one of these conversations, just I think it was last year, of a string quartet that should be nameless, where all 4 members ate at separate tables for breakfast when they were on tour. So you wouldn't have that decision to make.
no, that's right. That's right.
What about repertoire? What have you got that the 2 quartets can play together? Now, we heard the Mendelssohn the other night, and it was wonderful. Yeah. Are there other works that you've played together yet, or are you still going to be exploring that?
No, I mean, there are other works, but I think Mendelssohn was like the big octet that we all wanted to learn together, and we had a great time doing it. There are a couple other octets that we would like to explore, but we don't have like a set date.
No. Well, let's try and make it happen. There's one by Raff that's very much like the Mendelssohn. It's like an homage to Mendelssohn. So, you know, it's something to look at. It's a good work. How, just going beyond string quartets, something people might not know about, how unusual is it for couples to be working in separate cities in music?
I'm sure you guys know Leslie Robertson of the St. Lawrence Quartet. She just emailed me about a week ago, and she said, oh, you know, you must be starting a trend, because she's judging the Melbourne Quartet competition right now. And she said there are 2 quartets from the UK, and it's the same thing. The violinist and the cellist from different quartets are married. And she said, what's going on?
Yeah.
So maybe it's becoming more common.
That's within quartets. But what about outside quartets, just in the business generally?
Well, the violist of the Borromeo and the violist of the Brentano are married. Sin-Young Hwang and Misha Amory.
Oh, yeah.
And they were, now Sin-Young teaches at Juilliard and plays a lot of solo things. And they actually, they're making it work too. So there's one person in quartet and somebody is not.